For dinner tonight, I'm making grilled tuna steaks with pesto. I love pesto, especially in the summer, and I would love anything with pesto, but especially these grilled tuna steaks. I'll start off by showing you how I make my basic pesto. I start off with a couple handfuls of fresh basil, and I'll just give them a coarse chop so that it'll help the food processor along in grinding them up into a nice paste. Again, very rough chop here. It really doesn't have to be precise, I just want it to all fit into my blender. I'm going to add a pinch of sea salt. I love using sea salt, I love that coarse texture. I'm going to add some lemon juice. Approximately a teaspoon and a half or so. I'm just going to hold my hand as I squeeze the lemon to catch any of the seeds as they come out. Then I need a half a clove of garlic. This is a beautiful clove. I got this at Santa Monica Farmers Market, my favorite place ever. Just going to break that top part off and give it a smash. I'm only going to take the half though. I find that a full clove is a little bit too garlicky for my taste, but you can feel free to add more if you prefer a bit more garlic. I'm then going to add toasted pine nuts. Now, pine nuts are really flavorful on their own, but when you toast them just in a dry pan over about medium heat, they get an even more intense flavor. So I would definitely recommend taking the extra step to toast them. You'll be really pleased with the results. Afterwards, I'm going to stream in the olive oil as I'm blending. So I'm just going to measure it ahead of time. So here I'm measuring out a quarter cup. So I'm not going to talk while I'm blending just because you won't be able to hear a word I'm saying, but here I go. Alright, now the last ingredient I like to stir in, this is actually a recipe that is inspired by Giada De Laurentiis, and I've always seen her add the Parmesan cheese last. And I like how it adds not only the flavor, but a little bit more of the texture of the cheese when you stir it in rather than allow it to blend together. So I'm going to get my dish, and then I'm going to add some of this freshly grated Parmesan cheese. About a quarter cup, maybe a little bit less actually. This is really a recipe that I have to admit I usually don't measure when I'm making it myself. I really just go on taste, and I add a little bit more salt, a little bit more garlic, depending on how it is. So I'll give it a taste right now, just as I normally would. It's perfect. I can taste just that hint of lemon. The garlic is just perfect. It's not too overpowering. And here you have pesto. Now if you like it a little bit runnier, you could definitely add a little bit more olive oil, but this is going to be just perfect for our grilled tuna steaks. So now, to show you how to get the grilled tuna steaks prepared. Alright, now preparing these tuna steaks really couldn't be easier. I'm just going to give them a little drizzle of olive oil. And just rub it on both sides. The reason I like to put the olive oil just on the grilled tuna, or on the tuna steaks themselves, is because I don't want to smoke up my entire kitchen and set up the smoke alarms. If I were to instead just put the olive oil all over the pan, I would end up getting a lot more smoke than by just putting it where the tuna steaks actually hit the pan. Perfect sizzle. One thing that actually I just forgot to mention that I like to do sometimes just to test to see if the pan is ready for my meat is I just flick a little bit of water on it. And if you get the sizzle from the water that hits the pan, you know your steaks are ready. I'm just going to put them on. I'm going to quickly wash my hands. Alright. I want to keep an eye on these tuna steaks because tuna cooks pretty quickly, and I want them to be slightly rare in the middle. Depending on your taste, if you like them more cooked through, you can leave them on longer, but I'll give it about 2.5 minutes per side, and then I'll flip it. As you can see, the cooked part is coming up the sides a bit more. Just going to lift it up. Got some beautiful grill marks, as you can see. Got my serving plate. Grab my tuna steaks. These are looking beautiful. Now let's cut this and see how it looks. Grab a fork. Now, when I'm going to cut the tuna steaks, I want to cut against the grain. So with tuna, you can actually, fortunately, really easily see the grain of the fish. They're basically the lines on which the fish run. So I'm going to cut them. As you can see, we've got perfectly rare center. I'm just going to cut them in strips. And then I'm going to drizzle with the beautiful basil pesto that we made earlier. It smells amazing and I cannot wait to taste it. I hope you don't mind if I go ahead and give it a little taste. Make sure I get some of the pesto. This is a perfect grilling summer dish. Here's your shopping list for making grilled tuna steaks with pesto. You'll need 2 big handfuls of fresh basil, 1 garlic clove, 1 lemon, toasted pine nuts, you'll need about a 1/4 cup of pine nuts, sea salt, extra virgin olive oil, Parmesan cheese, you can either get it in a block or you can grate it, and tuna steaks, about 2 inches thick, and pepper.